On this channel, we like to cover all kinds of cleaner, greener, safer and smarter vehicles. Obviously, they tend to be electric. This is electric, right, Gav? Kia ora.
Kia ora, almost. It has a couple of electric motors in it, the powering the window wipers and the headlight wipers.
Okay, so why is Kiwi EV Gavin Shoebridge driving a LADA Niva?
Okay, well, I just bought this thing yesterday afternoon and I'm going to be driving this thing from Seattle, Washington, stopping here to annoy you, and then heading all the way home back to Florida so I can convert it to run on batteries. So, that's the plan. As you do, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I put this hat on as a joke, but it's actually really comfortable.
So for those who don't know, Gav we've known each other for nearly 14 years now, I
Long
think,
time.
Gav.
Yep.
And Gav was, back when he was a young lad,
Before I had this.
before he had the grey, he converted a Treadia
Yeah.
to electric.
Yep.
And had this little show called Kiwi EV on the YouTubes, in which you methodically converted your car to electric.
It was a 9-month ordeal because the reason I did it, I saw that movie Who Killed the Electric Car in 2006. It just blew my mind to see that, you know, car makers could be making such awesome cars, but unless they were forced to by law, they didn't. And so I thought, well, I want one. So a few months after watching that movie, I jumped in the garage and readjusted my mask and jumped in the garage and thought, well, how hard can it be? So I bought that old Mitsubishi Treadia, that 80s car, towed it home and spent 9 months removing the gearbox, the motor, the gas tank, and putting an electric motor and batteries. And because this is 2007 at this stage. There were no real electric cars. The Nissan Leaf wasn't on sale yet.
You know, I was driving a production electric car around. It had 3 wheels. It had a maximum top speed of 30 miles per hour, which is what, 50 Ks, something like that?
Yeah, about that. I remember that car. I remember the videos very well. And I thought, she's crazy, but so am I. And then what I did was take a 144 volt system, which was kind of high for the time. Most people are doing like forklift voltage, 48 volts, because I wanted it to, you know, move. Not white zombie sort of move. That's a real, you know, super electric car. But yeah, so this is like 2007. The Leaf wasn't in production yet. The Model S from Tesla was, I think they just called it the White Star at that point.
Yeah, the Roadster was, even the Roadster wasn't in production in 2007.
I think it must have just started about then.
It was 2008 when it actually rolled off the production line.
So like this was no man's land.
Right.
Like, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You've, you know, converted plug-in hybrid Prius to be like forcing it to go against its will and
then
run
I forced
purely.
it to catch fire.
Well, hey, it was the heater worked that day. But yeah, so it was all freaks and pioneers at that stage. So I thought, yeah, you know, why not? And it ended up getting a cult following on YouTube. And but ever since then, I've wanted to do another one. There's a saying, you know the saying, your second conversion's always your best.
Right.
So I'm taking, hopefully, I'm going to take this home, rip the Soviet engine out of it and put in either a Nissan Leaf drivetrain or maybe a Lexus hybrid reprogrammed drivetrain. So that's all undecided. First, I've just got to drive this thing 3,500 miles back to Florida. What could go wrong?
Between your first conversion and your second conversion,
Yep.
you moved to Slovakia.
As you do.
You worked for a Slovak radio station that was an English language radio station.
Yeah.
And then you had a Peugeot Ion, didn't you?
Yeah, a Peugeot Ion, which was, you know, as you know, it's a Mitsubishi IMEV with a different badge on it. And I drove all around Central Europe in that thing, had a whole lot of adventures, made some crazy modifications.
You put a kitchen in the back?
I put a kitchen in the back. I'm still so proud of that. And this has got a full-size boot, so I can make a real kitchen on this.
Well, it has to be sliding out like the Rivian, or I'm not interested.
Ooh. Okay,
with a little, you know, little legs that fold down and plonk down.
Okay, that's really interesting. What I really want to do is put in a inductive cooktop in it somehow, but that's going to be tricky. So,
but you can put solar panels on the roof. Plenty of space for solar panels.
It has flat roof, yes. Duh. Oh, yesterday I was at the shop getting some tools and stuff, you know, for when it breaks down. And a young Russian couple walked past, and I heard them speaking Russian, saying "LADA Niva." And I made the mistake of saying "Здравствуй," and then of course, boom, into Russian. They started speaking to me. Like, oh, okay, I've overshot the mark here. you know, I've bitten off more than I can chew. So then I explained, sorry, I only know one word. But they sat in it, started taking some photos. I took a bit of video of them doing that.
Oh,
went to the
crazy.
gas station. Ukrainian man said, LADA Niva.
Yeah.
And then he started going through, he started translating. I recorded him as well. You'll see this in the video coming up, translating some of the documents that came with the car for me.
Oh,
it's
wow.
just like, already, I got on the way here. Beep, 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 guy waving to me on the highway. It's like, I don't get that in my 2008 Hyundai.
So it's really weird because for those of you who know, I've got a love affair for Morris Minors. I had them for many years in my younger days. There's without giving too much away from where I live, because you could probably figure it out based on what I'm just about to say. There is a British car specialist in a nearby town that specialises in British cars, and they have a couple of Morris Minors out front. And one is calling to me.
Oh,
it's not going to happen yet. But okay, so for those who don't know, LADA Niva.
Okay, so
why? What is it? Let's go over. It's one of my favourite cars. It's in
Really?
my dream garage. Yeah, I love it.
Okay, well, where do I start? I'll try and make it the short video-friendly version. This is back in the very early 90s. My dad bought one brand new in New Zealand because
they sold them in New Zealand.
They did. In the late 80s, New Zealand and the Soviet Union had a little weird partnership for a while, where New Zealand would send them meat and dairy products and skin and that sort of stuff.
He has some fresh lamb.
Yeah, basically. And the Soviet Union sent us tractors, vodka, and LADA Nivas in return. And so I'm not joking. So there were thousands of these things all over New Zealand. So my dad bought one. It was great. We went off roading because they are, as clumsy as they look, they are very agile off the road.
Right.
And then in the 90s, I thought that was a fun car. So I bought one myself in New Zealand. And then it's been years, I lived in Slovakia. You're not allowed to convert cars to electric there. Anything fun's illegal. So when I finally came to the USA, I thought, well, hey, we're in the land of the free. Let's go ahead and
you're
do
in
it,
Florida, which, believe me, is very much the land of the free.
They love the off-roaders down there. So I think this is really going to turn some heads. So I thought, yeah, why not? I saw one up in Seattle. I thought about it for 3 months. I slowly raised the money up. And then on Monday, with hours before Seattle went into lockdown and the DMV would not transfer titles anymore, I got in there with 1 hour to spare at the DMV to get my transit papers to drive the car to Florida. So,
wow. Because otherwise you would have had to have done this on a truck.
Yeah, and there's just over $1,000 to do that. So, well, it's probably cheaper than driving this thing, but what about the adventure,
Right. Well, I mean, I don't know. When we had the Honda Insight project car, which was only in Corvallis, which is 100 miles away from here, so 200-mile round trip, I was quoted like $700 or $800 to go pick that up.
What?
And I was like, nah, I'm just going to hire a truck and do it myself.
Exactly.
Let's have a look under the bonnet.
With pleasure. So under the bonnet, you're going to find a large rubber round thing, which you don't normally find. The spare tire. Right next to the engine.
That is brilliant.
It actually, it does keep it warm.
Yeah, it keeps it warm, and there's no petrol tank under here. It's not like the
gas tank,
the Trabant, which had its petrol tank under the...
The gas tank is under the rear seats, under the body, and as you can probably smell, once you fill the car up, you've got about 100 kilometers where it smells strongly of petrol. So
right.
I was getting a free high. This car's only done about 20,000 miles, believe it or not.
And it's like a 1.8 litre...
1.6. Don't get ahead of yourself.
1.6.
I can't handle that much power. Yeah, so interesting story this guy told me about the car. It used to belong to a government official in Ukraine. Built in Russia in the Soviet Union, exported to Ukraine, given as a gift to a hardworking government official who towed the line. But he had a car, or he had a car provided to him, so he didn't need it. So what he did is he just stored this. And he stored it, and his son didn't want it. And when the guy that imported it, the guy in Seattle that imported it to the USA, it still had the plastic on the back seats.
Wow.
So it is, when he told me that, I was thinking, and I'm going to rip out this near new 1982 engine and throw it away. Oh God, I won't tell him.
So what are you going to power it with, Gav?
Well, I've got two choices. Either a Nissan Leaf motor, which is going to bolt straight into the existing gearbox, or I'll take a Lexus drivetrain from Lexus. I think it's a 450H hybrid.
The rear drivetrain from those.
Yeah, and then just bolt it straight onto the transfer box. That way I can keep the car as four-wheel drive with the high-low ratio and everything, but also get rid of a lot of space, make room for batteries and stuff. So that's the plan. One of those two, I'm going to ask the internet, let them tell me what's best bang for buck, what's simplest. Also, I have to keep in mind something that's not so important right here in Washington. No, we're not in Washington, in Oregon, but is kind of important in Florida: air conditioning.
But this is a Russian car; it has no air conditioning.
Correct. But in Florida, unless you want me to arrive in a puddle of kiwi, it's I'm gonna need air conditioning.
I've just noticed that this jack is brilliant.
It is a factory standard jack. Everything
and this is so
here.
you can get out of deep crevices as well as change your tyre.
Duh. So one thing I absolutely love, and this is just going to make me sound weird, but I have to show you the front of the car. These little headlight wipers. I absolutely love them.
Which is kind of funny because Volvo did them on their cars from like the 1970s onwards.
I have to turn them on. They're so cool.
And obviously someone at LADA went, oh, that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
We should do that.
Yep.
I love the number plate as well. Made in USSR. So that's the main headlight, the main windscreen wipers.
Here we go.
And then...
Nope. Nope.
Nope.
It's not working. What am I doing wrong? Okay, I must be doing something wrong here.
There you go. The lights were on.
No.
But nothing happened.
Hang on. I'm learning.
I heard a whir, but there was no...
I'll start the engine.
Hey! Oh my goodness. They work!
Let me try that again. Stand clear.
Fine. All right. So in here, Gav.
Yes.
You have all of the creature comforts.
No.
I've
got seats. That's about it.
You have
I haven't got a radio. It is so factory standard. It doesn't have a radio or anything. It's got a heater, but it's about as powerful as Bud Light.
And no catalytic converter by the smell of it.
No, it is running on the Red Army right now.
But these things are known for being pretty bulletproof.
They are. Other than a bit of rust, they are pretty sturdy. They should just go and go and go. I've collected heaps of videos of these things off-roading. I've been off-roading in them before, and they're pretty unbreakable once they're off the road.
And for those who don't know, talk us through the gear levers. So you've got the standard gear select at the front.
So obviously 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not really happy doing 55, 60 miles an hour on the highway. It's doing about at 60 miles an hour. It's doing about 4,000 RPM. So it's not having the time of its life. So it could use a fifth gear. The next gear lever here, we have the high and low ratio to use it for off-roading. And then this next gear lever here is for the diff lock, to lock the wheels also. You can go off. If you've got one wheel dangling in the air, it's not going to spin by itself. So that's basically it. You've got 3 gear levers, headlight wipers, and a spare tyre next to the engine.
And a heater.
And a heater, which, let me show you how it works. I think I can feel a gentle breeze. It's got all the power of a baby.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
So,
and then in the back you've got some rather nice rubber. They look like they're stock.
They are stock. Everything that came with everything, this car.
This is really quite a rare vehicle.
It is, and that's what makes me feel really guilty about cutting holes in it. That's why I didn't tell the seller that, this is a great car. I'm going to hack it up a bit and put batteries in it.
So you're going to be able to, how far down can you make the battery box go?
Well, that's a great question.
There's a big old diff there.
Yeah, once I get rid of the muffler, I should be able to put some there. I'm going to have to do a bit of a hodgepodge, I think. It's going to keep me going for the next few months. Obviously, I've still got I've bought the car with my own money, most of which was from ebook sales over the last 10 months or so, selling the book I wrote.
About the end of the world.
About the end of the world, which was fitting after 2020. You know, if 2020 was a condiment, it would be that juice that squirts out before the mustard, you know. So, next plan is to get it home to Florida, rip all the guts out of it, figure out what drivetrain I'm going to use. Probably easiest to decide once I've actually got the engine out.
Right.
And then go to work.
That's your mustard-coloured LADA.
Yep. Big adventures await this poor thing. It has no idea what it's in for.
So when you converted in New Zealand,
yep,
you had some fairly strict rules in New Zealand. That's one of the reasons why the Treadia got scrapped, right?
Rust mainly, but yeah, the rules in New Zealand are pretty thorough. Mostly logical, but there are some silly ones. But when I lived in Slovakia for 7.5 years, the rules made it impossible unless you're a vehicle manufacturer. So it just meant that I sat there looking at conversions on the internet and I couldn't do one until now. Now I'm in the land of the free and I can finally do one.
And you have probably seen with shock, horror and awe cars that are held together with baler twine and stuff on the freeway and gone, how is that even allowed?
Yes.
Because, you know, the British MOT is pretty stringent.
Yep.
The New Zealand roadworthiness, the WOT is what you call it, isn't it? Yeah, the WOF. It is even tougher than the MOT. So, I mean,
in Florida,
anything goes.
I can just use seaweed and snot to hold it together.
So, are you missing home?
Yeah, because of this stupid virus, you know, because some crazy guy ate a bat, I can't now go to the pub, go and see friends, and go home. You know, it's annoying.
You know what I miss? I miss fish and chips, but there's a fish and chip shop like about 10 miles from here.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'll tell you where it is.
Oh,
maybe we'll go and grab some after,
I would love
after
that,
this.
Honestly.
You know, it's one thing that I really miss. But you know, you're here now, so welcome to America.
Thanks.
You're not a citizen yet.
No, just a resident.
Just a resident.
Yeah.
Well, at least you don't have to run for your life anymore.
Yay!
They're a bit crazy here. We can't say that on the. They're a bit crazy here.
Oh, I stay miles out of politics.
Yeah, it is. Well, New Zealand's politics are actually quite benign these days.
So. Yeah, I was watching the election, you know, just recently, and it was. I think both sides were fairly amicable, and I think that was good. And I was sort of hoping, like, well, America's probably going to be the same, but no, it was kind of mean this last. Right.
So there you go, 2 expats watching America do weird things. We send our best back to you in New Zealand. Thanks for joining us. Ka kite. See you next time.